Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Tuesday evening here with us on our YouTube channel on Kabbalah.info. And if you're interested in the wisdom of Kabbalah, you can always go to Kabbalah.info and check out all the resources there. And if you're new to the YouTube channel and you're wondering what the wisdom of Kabbalah is all about, you can always go to the website Kabbalah.info and join the KAB Academy there, where you can join like-minded people and study the wisdom of Kabbalah. All right, as usual, we're going to carry on with our Tuesday lessons. Now, as you know, on this YouTube as well, if you're new, you won't know, but now you will know. We've got semester 1, 2, 3 as well. We've got a complete beginner's course to the wisdom of Kabbalah, and you're more than welcome to watch them all free and get an insight as to what the wisdom of Kabbalah is, how we study it, and who we are and what we really are and what we're doing. In the interim, though, we're going to carry on with where we left off yesterday. And the whole earth is full of his glory is the topic that we're studying. And we're going to carry on with item number 7 from Rabash. And if you have questions, as usual, shoot them through. We'll try to take care of them as best we can. So here we go. Rabash, article number 295. Anyone who sanctifies the 7th, part 1. What we said, that the whole world, or the world, is filled with pleasures, as in the whole earth is full of his glory. The question is why we do not feel the light of the Creator filling the world. The answer to this is that the Creator made a restriction and concealment not to feel the light of the Creator, so there will not be bread of shame. But when one comes to a degree where he wants to bestow upon the Creator, meaning give contentment to his maker, he begins to contemplate what the Creator needs so he can give it to him, since all his concerns are to please the Creator. At that time, he realizes that the only reason he created the world was to receive pleasures from him, and that more than this, the Creator does not need. Hence, he follows the Creator's will and receives the pleasures. Let's read again. Excerpt number 7. What we said, that the world is filled with pleasures, as in the whole earth is full of his glory. The question is why we do not feel the light of the Creator filling the world. The answer to this is that the Creator made a restriction and concealment not to feel the light of the Creator, so there will not be bread of shame. But when one comes to a degree where he wants to bestow upon the Creator, meaning give contentment to his maker, he begins to contemplate what the Creator needs so he can give it to him, since all his concerns are to please the Creator. At that time, he realizes that the only reason he created the world was to receive pleasures from him, and that more than this, the Creator does not need. Hence, he follows the Creator's will and receives the pleasures. All right, so not a very easy one to immediately get a grasp of, but once again, it's going back to that principal thing, the purpose of creation. Right? And the purpose of creation is to receive pleasure. Is to be happy, to be fulfilled all the time, in fact. However, though, we've got a bit of a problem in this world, as you know, the way we currently perceive reality. If I want to directly fulfill my desires, the pleasure cancels the desire. So we're left with nothing again. So this is what's called the restriction. This is why we cannot be happy in this world. It's not going to happen. The way we live, we cannot be. And this is the whole concept, the whole law of the restriction. Pleasure cancels the desire. All right, so you're left with a big fat minus. So what are we going to do about it? It's what it's trying to hint at here. All right, so because there's a restriction, a concealment, we cannot feel pleasure. And that is because of the bread of shame. Why? Because if we did receive the pleasures when the Creator is revealed to us, then we would all feel bad because of the equivalence of form. We'd feel like we'd imagine having the consciousness of a human being but feeling like a dog who's been a human being all the time. Okay, so the creator wants to give you the fulfillment, and he's just giving them to you nice and easy. And because you don't know how to relate back to the creator, you're always feeling less. It's like one human throwing another human scraps and bones, right? So this is the kind of feeling that the creator does not want us to have. He wants us to be at an equal level with the creator, so we don't feel less. That's what's called the bread of shame, so that we won't feel shame or bad or less, okay, than the creator. Otherwise, we can't have a decent relationship with the creator. So this is the whole idea of the restriction. This is why the creator is concealed. He cannot show himself directly to us. We'll just become slugs, all right? Like leeches. We'll be sucking his blood all the time. But when one comes to a degree where he wants to bestow upon the creator, meaning give contentment to his maker. So we have to come to a state which is a higher level of existence, which is spirituality, which is when we're inside the attribute of bestowal. So then we can want to bestow to the creator. He begins to contemplate what the creator needs so he can give it to him. So now, instead of thinking about what I'm going to get, I'm starting to think about what the creator would like. What can I give, or what can I do for him? Okay, so we have a flip in mentality when we swap from corporeality into spirituality. Since all his concerns are to please the creator, and that's how it should be, right? All of the concerns of the creator is to please the created beings. So all our thoughts and intentions and actions following them must be in order to please the creator. At that time, he realizes that the only reason he created the world was to receive pleasures from him. And that more than this, the creator does not need. So the only thing that the creator really wants is for us to receive pleasure from the creator, but we can't do that directly. So we have to kind of return the favor, right? Kind of like return the favor. So we've got to do good back to the creator in our relationship, in how we relate to the creator. Hence, he follows the creator's will and receives the pleasures. So if I relate to the creator in a way where the pleasure is not more valuable than our relationship, then I can bestow. Okay, does that make sense? It should make sense. I hope it makes sense. Okay. So for example, let's say we have a loved one and they buy us a gift. Let's say they bought us an amazing gift. Okay. Like really what we wanted. It was like everything you wanted, and they got you that gift, what you really, really wanted. Okay. Despite the fact that you really got what you wanted, the gift is never more important than the loving relationship between you. Okay, the gift is just an expression of how much we are thinking about the other person. Okay, from the receiver and from the giver. Okay, but from both sides, the relationship must always be more important than what I'm getting. Otherwise, you're going to fall into your egoism, and that will be defeating the point of our study. Okay, item number 8. Okay, you guys stop me if there are any questions. There are already. Wow. You're all early birds today. Patricia's asking. Don't we need the recognition of the bread of shame in order to turn around? Well, look, we won't really know what the bread of shame is until we reveal some kind of attribute of bestowal, because if I don't reveal it, I don't know what I'm going to feel ashamed towards, right? So I have to have some kind of a recognition of the creator. I have to have some kind of a recognition of, how he wants, how he's treating me, how he cares about me. And then if I see how he's relating to me, then I can say to myself, well, am I relating the same way to the creator? Okay, but if I don't see how he's relating to me, then it's a bit of a drama, because then I've got no shame. I'll just take whatever I can. Okay. So we need some kind of revelation before shame can kind of pop in. So he's actually talking about, when he's talking about the bread of shame, he's talking about quite an advanced level, because shame needs to come at a time when I can actually receive in order to bestow. So that's like pretty high up on the scale there. Okay. Is the bread of shame different than the recognition of evil? Yes, it is. It is a bit different, but it is still recognition of evil. Why? Because it is still how much I lack in the way I relate to the Creator. Because why does shame happen? Shame happens because I see how much the other person loves me, and inside I'd like to return that love, but I'm just incapable of doing it, and it's like really eating me up. And that's the kind of shame. So in other words, the bread of shame needs to happen. It's like I said, it's like an advanced level. It needs to happen to show me where I need to compensate for the lack of love, and how I need to compensate as well. It has a lot of details. It's not just that I feel bad. You go into a lot of discernments there, because that feeling of shame allows you to go a little bit more deeper and kind of plan how you need to act, behave, and kind of like plan all your actions out, all your intentions out, so that you can like complete the Creator's love for you with your love, without any defect or without any lack in between. How is the force of fear best used to please the Creator? Once again, the fear of the Creator must be that I'm not returning his loving attitude to me in the same way. That's the fear. Okay. I'm afraid that I'm not relating to him like he's relating to me. I don't have to be afraid because the Creator can burn us or fry us in hell or whatever. That's not the point of creation, and it's not going to work out that way. The fear of God, the fear of the Creator is, I can see how he's relating to me, and I've kind of restricted myself. Why? Because I'm kind of scared that I may not be able to relate the way that he is relating. Okay? So fear first comes because I don't know how to relate to it. Okay, so it's like we still need the revelation of the Creator to fear the Creator. Okay, wherever there's something with respect to the Creator, I need to have the Creator's revelation so I can work with it with respect to the Creator. So, however, though, how can the fear of the Creator help while we're not in spirituality? All right. Well, I could be afraid that my life is going to go by just like that. Okay, because it normally does. All of a sudden you open up your eyes and you're like, well, what happened? Okay, your life's gone by. So we should be kind of concerned that we're not really advancing, or we should be concerned or afraid that, we're going to go weak and fall off the bandwagon and things like that. That, those kind of things should cause me worry. Okay. So let's go into item number 8. We've got just one more question before we go there. Isoke is asking, since we can't help but to feel what we feel, are we trying to move our inner attention from the sensation of pleasure to inwardly taking actions towards a deeper relation with the Creator? You're right, we can't help what we feel, but when we're advancing in spirituality, we should endeavor to be happy on our journey. Right? You can't, progress in anything in life if you're miserable. So being happy is really important. And also we're trying to go towards the Creator, right? So you can't go to the Creator with a lemon face. It's not going to work out. So what we have to do is we have to find the points where we should feel pleasure and where we should feel that, we're lucky to be moving in that spiritual direction. So we have to be kind of like, sometimes you're in a down mood, but you can have an understanding that that's really good for your advancement, and that can be a cause of happiness as well. All right, so you can be in like two different discernments which are opposite at the same time, which is really interesting for Kabbalah students, because on the one hand you could be down, but on the other hand you could be quite elevated, because you can see that this is going to help you, and it's going to be a leverage to move forward. So I'm not quite sure if I understand your question, but at the end of the day, when we since we can't help but to feel what we feel, are we trying to move our inner attention from the sensation of pleasure to inwardly taking actions towards a deeper relation with the Creator? We don't have to nullify the pleasures that we're receiving. Okay, we don't have to. Just bear with me. These cats are driving me crazy. I think it's the spring. We're all screaming. Okay, so we don't have to nullify pleasures. Okay, we can be happy in life, and we should be happy in life, especially on the spiritual path. We should be happy and getting some pleasure from life and moving towards our spiritual goal. It doesn't mean I have to get rid of the pleasures. It means I have to add another kind of pleasure. That other kind of pleasure is receiving pleasure from the love that we build between us. Right? That's where we should be kind of like focusing. So on the one hand, we've got our corporeal life, and we're kind of like, living it through. It doesn't mean we have to go through hell to get to heaven, okay? On the other hand, what we can do, what we should be doing, is trying to figure out how to feel pleasure and joy from a good connection, from the love between people, because actually that's also what humanity is seeking. Look at all the love songs everybody's writing. The love songs, the poems, the books on supermarket shelves, even all about the loves and love stories, okay? So why? Because we're lacking real love. We're lacking that human touch, okay? So we need to start getting pleasure from that love between people rather than the fleeting pleasures of this world. All right, item number 8. This is from Baal Islam Shamati, article number 213, acknowledging the desire. One who stays home is unlike one who stands before the king. He who believes in the existence of the Creator, that the whole earth is full of his glory, is filled with fear and love, and needs no preparations or observation, only to completely nullify before the king from his very nature. Just as we see in corporeality, that he who truly loves his friend thinks only of the best of his friend and avoids anything that is not beneficial to his friend. All this is done without any calculation, and it does not require a great mind, since it is as natural as a mother's love for her child, who only wants to benefit her child. She needs no preparations or intellect to love her child, since a natural thing does not require an intellect that will assert it, but it is done by the senses themselves. The senses themselves are devoted, since this is how it is in nature. As due to the love for something, they give their soul until they achieve the goal, and as long as they do not achieve, their lives are not alive. Okay, this is nice. So let's go one sentence at a time. One who stays home is unlike one who stands before the king. So if I remain in my home, that means in my desire to receive. Okay, and is unlike one who stands before the king. It's unlike one who has a relationship with the Creator, some kind of closeness. He who believes in the existence of the Creator, that the whole earth is full of his glory, is filled with fear and love. So once again, see, we need to have some kind of a recognition here about the Creator and his actions, so we can be in this discernment of fear and love. So on the one hand, we have this relationship. On the other hand, I see and fear that there are things that can cause me to damage the relationship. Okay, so I need to be in between both states, and needs no preparations or observation, only to completely nullify before the king from his very nature. So I need to be at this state, I need to be accustomed to nullifying my nature. All right, so this is really important. So I need to be at a state where I can nullify my nature, all good and understood by the person who is at that state. Just as we see in corporeality that he who truly loves his friend thinks only of the best of his friend and avoids anything that is not beneficial to his friend. So this is the thought process we should be going through all the time. And it's not a wonder why we're working with a bunch of people in our group or in our tent, right? How am I ever going to get used to thinking about the benefit of the creator if I don't have some playground where I'm playing with others? Okay, it's not going to happen. So in order for me to really get close to the creator, I have to come to a state where I'm thinking about my friends in the group, so much so that I'm only thinking of their benefit. Okay, because the same thing. So this needs to, the study should bring me to that kind of stuff. We need to get to that kind of direction at least. Start behaving that way, thinking that way, demanding from the creator in that direction. All this is done without any calculation. It's done without any calculation because now, once in spirituality, it's an instinctive change in nature. Just like we're instinctively always wanting to receive for ourselves. Imagine doing that little flip. Now you're instinctively wanting to bestow. Okay? Obviously, we need to add to that. All this is done without any calculation, and it does not require a great mind, since it is as natural as a mother's love for her child, who only wants to benefit her child. So now here, in this state, we've received a second nature, okay, on top of the current one that we have. She needs no preparations or intellect to love her child. Why? Because she's instinctively working in that way, as part of her nature now. Since the natural thing does not require an intellect that will assert it, but it is done by the senses themselves. The senses themselves are devoted, since this is how it is in nature. As due to the love for something, they give their soul until they achieve the goal. And as long as they do not achieve, their lives are not alive. So what we have to do is to dedicate ourselves really to attaining the goal. And as long as we don't attain it, well, we can't really say we're living. Why? Because those that are deemed to die are considered dead already. Okay, so we have to really build a life on top of this life, which is bound to end up dead. All right, does that make sense? That should give us a bit of motivation, shouldn't it? Okay, never mind. All right, okay, how are we doing? There's another question there. Wow, the friends do it, or rather the love of friends does it for us through the reforming light. The friends do it, or rather the love of friends does it for us through the reforming light. Absolutely, but we have to take part in it, right? We can't change our own nature, but as we participate, the light in the study changes us. This is how we also change in this life, okay? As we are growing up, we change, right? Why? Because we learn how to treat people, we learn how to behave in the environment properly and so on, right? Why? The environment is influencing us. The light of the environment is influencing us. So we change. We understand that if we want to have good relationships with people, we need to behave in a certain way. I can't just run, wild and be an absolute egoist all the time, because nobody will be my friend. They won't employ me. They won't be my friend. Nobody's going to love me. And I'm just going to be alone. Okay. And that's it. So the same kind of process in spirituality, if we voluntarily want to behave as if we are in spirituality, then the light affects us. It changes us. Okay, remember, what is the light? Torah is called the light. It's also called the study. So if I'm studying and working on it, it should change me, right? Okay. So it's a matter of practice, all right? Fake it till you make it. All right, let's move on to item number 9. This one, Baal Islam Shamati, article number 174, called concealment. Concealment in itself is not considered concealment. Concealment is measured by the demand. The greater the demand for something, the more the concealment is evident. And now we can understand the meaning of the whole earth is full of his glory. Although we believe it, the concealment still fills the whole earth. It is written about the future, for I will be unto her a wall of fire round about, and I will be the glory in the midst of her. Fire means concealment, but still glory is in the midst of her, meaning that then the glory will be revealed. This is because then the demand will be so great, even though there will be concealment then too. And the difference is that at this time there is concealment but no demand. Hence, this is considered exile. Then, however, although there will be concealment, there will also be demand, and this is what is important, only the demand. All right, so let's relate to this concealment as in what we're going through, all of us. Concealment in itself is not considered concealment. Concealment is measured by demand. So there is nothing there's nothing concealed until I realize there's something concealed. Okay, a lot of the people around the world, they don't see anything concealed. They go, hey, this is life, man. You see? I saw what I can see, well, which is nice and easy. But for us, who want to discover a second nature, concealment is only going to exist if we continuously work on spirituality in order to reveal spirituality. If I'm not seeking to reveal something, then obviously nothing is concealed. The greater the demand for something, the more concealment is evident. So this depends on how much I'm working on within the friends. Okay, what is concealed really? Concealed is the attribute of the Creator, the love and the bestow. That's concealed for us. This is why our whole world is working only on egoism, self-love, self-reception, self-joy. And now we can understand the meaning of the whole earth is full of his glory. Although we believe it, the concealment still fills the whole earth. Okay, so when we come to the wisdom of Kabbalah, we obviously believe something is concealed because inside of us, we're asking the question, what's the meaning of my life? Okay, beyond corporeality. If I was just asking about what's the meaning of my life while I want corporeal things, that's not concealment because I can work and get whatever I want if I put my mind to it anyway. Right? Obviously, that's what the people think. So that's how it is. But for us, it's a different ball game. Why? Because we're asking about the meaning of life, and that's concealed. It's concealed. Nobody knows. So we're searching for the meaning of life. And as we search, we come to the wisdom of Kabbalah. And if we get answers to our question, then we say, okay, now I found answers to my questions. What's that? That's fulfillment. Okay, so that concealment is fulfilled to a certain degree. All right, so that's revelation. However, I've got to go deeper. All right, so I've got to go deep and conceal now the reason for the concealment, the reason for the purpose of life. And that's why we dive in to the study and, go deeper. What else does it say here? It's written about the future, for I will be unto her a wall of fire around about, and I will be the glory in the midst of her. Fire means concealment. So the more we advance in the wisdom of Kabbalah, we should feel that there is greater concealment. I should feel like I'm in a darker state than I first came. All right, because I come, I find answers to my questions and I'm feeling great. Okay, so I'm thinking after this, it should be a walk in the park, right? At least now we know what we're living for. All right, so now we're diving in because everybody's excited and everybody loves a good dive. Okay, everybody's diving in. And then, well, we start doing what the Kabbalists try to recommend us, and we think, well, this isn't kind of like what I expected. Okay, why? Because the deeper I'm going in, the more I'm revealing my egoism, and that's what's concealing the Creator. Okay, so the more I'm working, I understand my ego and the ego of my friends. Everybody's ego is starting to like kind of, clash, and everybody's like, okay. Okay, like these barking dogs outside, everybody's thinking, I don't like you that much. Okay, fair enough. So as our ego is being revealed more, the Creator is concealed more. Because the greater the egoist I am, the greater the concealment. However, also according to that greatness of ego, the greater the revelation will be. But I can't really reveal anything until all of my egoism is revealed. So I can come to a full recognition of evil. All right. This is because then the demand will be so great. So I have to come to that pinnacle of the pinnacle of concealment. So my demand will be greater. Okay, if I have a small desire, a small concealment, then I have a small revelation. If I have a big concealment, I've got a big desire, then I've got a big revelation. So the bigger the desire, the bigger the concealment, the greater the pleasure. Right? And what do we want? We love pleasure. All right, so that's what we want to go for. Life's meaning is to get pleasure, but to get the correct kind of pleasure. So I have to reveal the concealment first, which is the ego, the extent of that ego. So on top of that, we can build pleasure. We can build that love above the egoism. And the difference is that at this time, there is concealment, but no demand. Hence, this is considered exile. Then, however, although there will be concealment, there will also be demand. And this is what is important, only the demand. So in any situation, whether I'm in concealment or in revelation, I should always be in a demand. Why? Because when we reveal something as well, we reveal it layer by layer. I'm not going to reveal the full Monty all of a sudden in one go. It's just not going to happen, right? It's going to be layer by layer. Okay, so if I get out of the concealment, once we get out of the depth of the concealment, I'm going to reveal a small part, which means a greater part is still concealed. Okay, so until I reveal the whole thing, I'm still going to have to do a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Okay, so in order to do that, I have to have a desire, a demand. Okay, that's what a demand is, a desire. All right, anything new? There is, okay. It's okay is asking if we can sense that we're not 100% connected to this force where we feel alive in love and bestowal and that it is all around us. Is this true exile? Yeah, that's exile. That's exile. When we don't feel any of the Creator, it's like darkness. We're like lost, despite the fact that we're in the study, right? Exile is a state where a person is studying the wisdom of Kabbalah. So, yeah, it's a bit of it's concealment. It's not a problem, though. It's how it's supposed to be. So, going through that is important. So is the attitude that we're building in ourselves through love of friends is the new attitude and ways of the new spiritual world? Absolutely. That's what we should strive for. And that's what we should want to build. right? The more I want to build that, that's the demand it's talking about, we just read, okay? I can't have a demand if I'm not working for something, and after I do something towards what I want to attain, and I understand that I lack things to do it, or I'm not capable of doing it. You know what I mean? So the actions that we do in the group should, should make me see and feel that I am an egoist, and that there's nothing really I can do against this nature. But seeing that brings me to the demand. If I didn't do this at all, I'd never get to a demand, because I would never see I'm an egoist. A lot of people on the outside, well, they don't think they're egoists. They even think they love people. If they saw the truth, we'd all understand it was a joke. All right? But that's how it is. You can only see the truth when you want to make a move towards what you want to attain, and then understand what's going on. Okay? It's like also choosing a profession, right? Sometimes you choose a profession from the outside, it looks pretty good. And then you get into it and you think, crikey, it's not what I expected. So you got two choices. You either got to crunch it. All right, so we're back in action. I had a power failure here. All of a sudden we went dark, and that's concealment. Okay, all of a sudden life turns out dark, and we feel like we're in a concealment, and this is how it is. So as I was saying, in order for me to discover how much concealment I'm in, I have to work towards the friends. And then I can see that the only thing that's really concealing the creator is my egoism, is my self-thought. It's the only thing I can think about is just me, and even more me. Yeah, that's just how it is. Rightio. So we're back in action. Okay, Yugis is asking, what to do if I don't feel desire to reveal the creator? Well, that's the problem. You can go back to the standard corporeal life, and you know how that goes anyway. Okay, day in and day out, and then you hit the grave, and that's it. And you don't know when that's going to happen either. Or you can say, well, I'm going to end up dead anyway. Might as well make use of the time that I'm here. Right? I like to think of things in a pragmatic way. Once, I'll tell you this little story. Once I was having a chat with my dad, right? And I said, listen, why should we believe in God anyway? He's not around. He said, well, we don't know if he's around or not, but it's better to be safe than sorry. Okay. So I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay. Right. So even if he's not around, better safe than sorry. And if there is some place out there, say, listen, I may not be the best guy on the planet, but I did believe. All right. So at the end of the day, you got some kind of an escape route. And sometimes, to look at life in a practical, pragmatic way helps as well, because you can kind of put the doubts into the back burner. Also, in the wisdom of Kabbalah, though, we don't have to believe in anything. Remember, we have to live what we're reading. We have to go through the experiences that they're talking about in the articles. And that's really nice. This is what really makes the wisdom of Kabbalah real. So even though you may not want to reveal the creator, it's really important for us to understand our own nature. And this is really good about, this is really what's good about the wisdom of Kabbalah, because if I understand my nature, I can also see and understand why I cannot be happy or where I can be happy. All right. So then I've got this measurement tool. And so, well, is it worth chasing these stuff? Or is it not worth chasing that stuff? So at least, even if you don't want to study for the rest of your life, you can still take a lot of things from the wisdom of Kabbalah that show you, what you can go for and what you can't really go for, because, you can make a proper calculation. If you look at many people in the world, they'll just go for what they see. Okay. They go, oh, I like that. I'm going to go for that. Okay. No thought process at all. Zilch. They'll start running like a rat on a wheel until it's just too late. And then by the time you get old, you got what you got? You got a list of regrets. Okay, how I would have wanted to have lived my life. With the wisdom of Kabbalah, you can get insight as to how you should live, and properly too. Right? So also, wanting to reveal the creator and sometimes not wanting to reveal and run away, it comes to all of us. It happens to all of us. Not everybody is like, I'm like flying to the creator like Superman. No, sir. We're like, oh my God, I've got shackles and my feet are going backwards with the shackles. It's just this weird situation. So what can you do? This is just how it is. Most of the part is, going through a lot of discernments, and, sometimes going through them can be tiring, draining, and it could like you might feel like a sponge that's really soaked up to the maximum, like feeling really heavy on that kitchen bench, so that's sometimes how it is. But at the end of the day, if you give it some thought and consideration, you figure out that you want to go towards the meaning of life. Also, it's really important to have fun while you're studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, right? It's really important to have a good time with the 10, go out and do some fun stuff as well. Like the guys in my 10, they had a barbecue like 2 days ago. It was on Sunday. They had a barbecue on Sunday. The guys were all there. They had a few lahaims, a few songs, music, food, that kind of stuff. You got to make this flow a good process. And if you're not having fun in your 10, obviously you guys are all going to dry out like daffodils in the desert. Okay, it's not going to really pan out well. So it's really important to have a good connection with the 10. And it's really have all right, so we're back in action. Sorry about that. I'm gonna call it a night in a few minutes. So how can I have this demand? Yugis is asking. Make the path a little fun. Like I said with the 10, you got to enjoy the process, and that all depends on the good connection that the 10 has. Right. So really try to be like in a good friendship connection, like to be good buddies on the path is really important. Ingrid is asking, if one doesn't have fun with the 10, does one need to make it fun on their own, jokes and stuff? How does it if one isn't a joker? Well, look, I think we all have a bit of a joker inside of us. It just needs to come out. And the good thing is, right, in this business, the creator is the real joker, all right? When you look at all the stuff we're going through, it's a big joke. All right. And the only time you're going to see it like a big joke is if you've got a bunch of people around you in your 10 looking at life like a joke. All right. Because it's like we're in kindergarten running after a bunch of stuff. Okay. And what can you do? If you don't have a good 10 where you can have fun with them, it's good to get together with them to have a fun group. All right. You can't like enforce yourself all the time if you can't just do it if your 10 isn't in a good connection. it's really important to have the friends in a good connection. So you guys can do some stuff together, hang out on the weekend, do something. You got to shake up the 10. All of you need to come together and talk about how you can have a good relationship, what you should do, to make this fun for yourselves. If you're not happy on the path, you got to find ways to be happy on the path. This is really, really important. Really. Okay. So as you can see, I'm also trying to make the lesson a bit fun for everyone with my jokes. I know it's not always successful, but you got to try. Okay. Just working on it. All right. So I'm not a joker either. Okay. Pam's asking, it's difficult to meet with your 10 and have fun when you're virtual and live in 3 different time zones. We can barely schedule times for a meeting twice a week. How to overcome this concealment? Well, look, I agree. Right now I'm virtual myself. You guys know I'm in Turkey and my 10 is in Israel. We're in the same time zone though, all right? But at the end of the day, right, despite the fact that you're in 3 time zones, there must be one little point where everyone can sacrifice for a dinner out with the gang, okay? If you guys all, get your dinners, prepare a good meal. Everybody prepares a nice meal that they love, all right? Everyone prepares something they love to eat. Get your drink, your laheims, your wine, or whatever you'd like to drink, and really prepare something you love. Look forward to the food. Look forward to the wine and the conversation, right? Have something to look forward to with the group, all right? Try to do it. Do something, because if you don't, it's just going to be too much it's going to be like a work procedure you're doing, all right? And it's going to become like your, job rather than your aspiration to become spiritual. So having fun is really, really important. We have, when we're there, we always have dinners with the guys. Every time I go, we have a dinner. When I get there, we have a dinner before I go. We're all there having some kind of an activity together, some kind of a conversation, having a few drinks and making life, fun for ourselves. And it's really important to do so. You got to do something to really facilitate for that. This should not be like a procedure for you that you're like compelled to do. Going towards the Creator should be a fun job that everybody is contributing to with some kind of lofty, light-hearted attitude. Okay, this is why we always want to show the friends joy, happiness, motivation, and never a dull face. Never. If everybody works on a good smile, we'll all have a good smile, right? And also you'll get older much slower. Happy people age well, as they say. All right. So, okay, that'll contribute to our longevity. In the meantime, I'm going to love you and leave you. We're going to meet and hook up next Tuesday, hopefully. Now, in the month of August, I'll make an announcement. In the month of August, I'm going to be away. Okay. So, because I've got some family duties to do. And in the month of August, I'll be away. So we'll see how things pan out. But after August, we're back in Action Jackson mode as usual. All right. In the interim, also, you should all get ready for that Asia Congress we're having on the 1st and 2nd of July. We're going to have a physical meeting here in Turkey as well. We're going to be with the gang. So it'd be good if you could get together and prepare yourselves for that Congress as well. All right. In the meantime,